Wednesday plenary before the commencement of the screening of the 43 presidential ministerial nominee, the senator representing Kogi West Senatorial District Dino Melaye and Philip Aduda protested over the non-inclusion of Federal Capital Territory representative. Senator Philip Aduda, while speaking at the plenary, recounted how the FCT produced ministers in the past, while Dino Melaye in his contribution said the constitution orders the FCT to be treated like a state and should be considered. Senator Ahmed Lawad also commented on the exclusion, stating it was an executive function.
Mr. President, I read, by the indulgence of the Senate and the leave of the President of the Senate, a senator may make a personal explanation, and although there be no question before the Senate, but no controversial matter may be brought forward, nor may debate arise upon the explanation. The terms of the proposed statement shall be submitted in detail to the President of the Senate when his leave to make it is sought. Mr. President, I did sought your leave on this. Mr. President, if I may continue, I would like to also go to raise a constitutional point of order, which is Section 299. The provision of this Constitution shall apply to the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, as if it were one of the states of the Federation. Mr. President, Section 147 goes ahead to say, there shall be such offices of ministers of the government of the Federation as may be established by the President. And Section 47.3 says, any appointment under subsection 3 of this section by the President shall be in conformity with the provision of Section 14.3 of the Constitution, which talks about federal character. Mr. President, the list for ministers were submitted yesterday, and out of the list of the nominees, there were 43 of them, and to the surprise of my constituents and myself, we did not find any nominee from the FCT. And my constituents have asked me to come with a loud voice to say that this National Assembly is the State House of Assembly for the people of the FCT, and as such, they are depending on the National Assembly to help and ensure that there's equity for the people of the FCT. Because over the years, the FCT has been marginalized. And Mr. President, it might interest you to know that some years back, we had a minister from FCT, because there has always been this argument that there has never been a minister. But I want to say that General Bagudu was a minister of Interior, and he's from the FCT, and he did serve under the federal government of Nigeria. Mr. President, we'd like to please ask you to urge Mr. President to look into the issue of the FCT and ensure that justice is done and that fair play and equity, because in the FCT you have, of course, people who are definitely his party members. Mr. President, these are my prayers. Thank you, Mr. President.
Under Order 43, personal explanation, this is not debatable, but I want to say that this is an executive function, and you have made the point very loudly, to borrow your word, and I'm sure the executive will take the appropriate action as quickly as possible.
Section 297 of the Constitution says there shall be a Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, the boundaries of which are defined in Part 2 of the first schedule of the Constitution. And if you read through ABC, it also said that the Federal Capital Territory shall be treated as if it were one of the states of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. Mr. President, I'm not dragging us back, but that's Section 299. Specifically A. It said all the legislative powers, the executive powers, and the judicial powers vested in the House of Assembly, the governor of a state, and the courts shall respectively vest in the National Assembly, the President of the Federation in the courts, which by virtue of the foregoing provisions, courts are established for the Capital Territory, Abuja, also in terms of the judiciary. What I'm saying in essence, Mr. President, is that to give a constitutional teeth to the appeal by the representative of the FCT, it is not a matter of appeal by the Senate. It is a constitutional point of duty. That this is my opinion, please. When it's your time, you can.
But it is right.
Mr. President,
right.
if the Constitution has said that it shall be treated as if it were one of the states, and the same Constitution has said each state of the Federation shall have a minister, then automatically I think this is very, very clear. So that in your proposition to the executive, we can come from this point of strength to strengthen the position of Senator Philip Aduda. Thank you so much.
Noted. Leader of the Senate.
Thank you, Mr. President.